I chose to live with my stepmother instead of my father after they divorced.
Well, is she nice to you?
I, 18 female, am about to graduate high school, and things have been weird at home for a while. But now everything's kind of blown up, and I'm getting a lot of mixed reactions, so I figured I'd post here. By the way, this comes from user Ad Taylor, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, my dad remarried when I was 14. His new wife had 2 kids from a previous marriage who were younger than me. From the start, she was polite but cold. Never rude, but definitely distant. She always seemed more relaxed and affectionate with her kids, which hurt, but I figured maybe that was just natural. Well, I think both of those things can be true.
Yeah.
But whenever I came in the room, she stopped laughing and looked at me as if I was in danger of hurting her children.
Oh boy.
For years, I felt like I was walking on eggshells around her. I tried being friendly and helping her out with the kids, giving her space, etc., but it never felt like I was truly welcome in my own home. It hurt, but I got used to it. But something changed this past year. I don't know exactly what triggered it, but stepmom started acting different, more present, kinder. She started checking in on me, inviting me to sit with her and her kids more, even standing up for me when my dad would snap or criticize me. And that's when things started to click between us. Turns out my dad had told stepmom a lot of stuff about me when they first got together. Things like I was manipulative, dishonest, moody, lazy, emotionally unstable. Basically made me sound like some troubled, dramatic teenager who couldn't be trusted. I found this out because I overheard them fighting about it. She apologized and said she realized how wrong she'd been, and how my dad was constantly nitpicking, belittling, and controlling, and how she never saw it clearly until she started watching how he treated me versus everyone else. They divorced about 2 months ago. My dad expected me to stay with him. Legally, I could do whatever I want, though, since I'm 18. But I told him I wanted to live with stepmom. It caused a whole explosion. He said I was choosing a woman who never even wanted me.
Oh.
That I was turning my back on my real family. His parents, my grandparents, called me ungrateful. Even a few family friends said I was being disloyal and just trying to hurt him.
Bro.
But here's the thing. Dana does want me now. She's apologized and made an effort, and she's treating me like a human being. She's the one coming to visit my school competitions and helps me whenever I ask her. My dad hasn't taken a real interest in me in years. She listens. She makes space for me and showed me what it feels like to be safe. So, am I the a-hole for choosing to live with my former stepmom instead of my dad? Not only are you not an a-hole, but your dad is an a-hole. So,
Yeah.
flip that whole story around.
Yeah, also, you're 14. All
18.
these people, 18?
18.
What?
Yeah,
Mind
18.
blown. Oh yeah, graduating high school.
Before they got married.
I see.
When OP was 14.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's just like, you're their kid. They can't be just accusing you of hurting your parents' feelings on purpose. Like, I don't know. That's just so extravagant. And if you're the real family, then maybe you should understand him a little bit, or at least try to.
Yeah.
So, not the a-hole for surezies.
If the whole family's hitting you up, trying to tell you you're bad, just go ahead and be like, hey, so here's what he said about me.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel now?
Just rat him out. Expose him.
How do you feel now? He lied to my stepmom and called me like a, I don't know, he made up this story about how I'm like a troubled teen. Because that was weird to me, where it's like she walked in and she was acting like I was a danger to her kids. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was weird.
And it makes sense now because she's been told that she probably is.
Yeah.
Apart Scene 9059 says, turns out my dad had told stepmom a lot of stuff about me when they first got together. Things like I was manipulative, dishonest, moosey, lazy, emotionally unstable. So replying to that part of the story, the thing that I don't get is, why did it take her 3 years to figure out this wasn't true when you all lived together? If all those things are lies and she lived with you, wouldn't she notice it's untrue within months? OP replies, throughout most of my high school time, I went to a boarding school. I could have come home at the weekends, but because I did feel unwelcome at home, I stayed there for most of the year. I only came home during the holidays. My senior year, however, I couldn't go back because my father thought the boarding school would only make me entitled, that I would think of myself better than the rest of the family. But that wasn't true at all. How would he even know? My father hasn't taken an interest in me in years. I bet he doesn't even know what sport I like to play or the name of my best friend. He only started to pretend to care when I chose to live with stepmom. Immortally Wounded One says, not the a-hole, he married a woman and immediately turned her against you for absolutely no reason, ensuring that you would have a little to no relationship with the woman he chose to be your stepmother. Get away from him and stay away from him as far as I'm concerned. Judgment, not the a-hole. Update, 4 days later.
Uh-oh.
Should we just make some folks on a trampoline and just jump in?
Jump right into it.
Update, 4 days later. Hi again. I honestly didn't expect my post to get the attention it did, but thank you to everyone who offered support, advice, or even just validation. Reading your comments helped me feel a little less alone in all of this. I wanted to give an update, especially since some people asked if my dad ever tried to explain himself. He did. After I moved in with my ex-stepmom, things were quiet for a few weeks. Then last week, my dad asked to meet. I agreed, hoping maybe this would be a turning point, that he'd acknowledge the way he treated me and maybe even apologize. But instead, I got a whole different kind of explanation. He told me that he was still in love with my mom, who passed away when I was 10, and that he had never truly moved on. All right, Pops, but who asked about that?
Yeah.
How is this possibly going to tie into you lying about your daughter?
Yeah, it feels like it's on its way to just guilt tripping.
It's
it's
on a direct flight to feel bad for me.
Yep.
Street.
Yep.
Feel bad for me town. He's the mayor of Feel Bad for Me Town. He said that after she passed away, he felt like he lost not just his wife, but a piece of himself. He admitted that he married stepmom not out of love, but because he thought building a new family would help him fill the void. But it didn't. And instead, he grew bitter and angry and started taking it out on everyone, on stepmom, on her kids, on me. And then he said something that completely shattered me. He said he never wanted her to bond with me because if she did, it would feel like my mom was being erased. That he couldn't handle the idea of me loving someone else in a mother role. That every time he saw stepmom and I getting along, it felt like I was letting go of my mom and replacing her, which is just not true. I will always love my mom and nothing could ever change that. But I also deserve to have people in my life who care about me now, people who show it. Stepmom has done that. She's trying. And she's here. When I asked him if he realized how much he'd hurt me, how he'd changed from the dad I remembered, he didn't deny it, but he also didn't apologize. He just said he was dealing with his grief the only way he knew how, and that I should respect that. No.
No,
Just
not
because
at all.
you have feelings doesn't mean your behaviors are all excused.
Yeah. No, absolutely. As he's saying all these things, it's like, okay, it's the explanation, not the excuse. You can maybe explain these things and be like, I'm sorry, it was the wrong way to deal with this. My bad, dog. I messed that up. But he's not apologizing. He's just saying no, this is what was happening. I'm so sad. So now you need to forgive me.
Right. He's saying, I'm the mayor of Feel Bad for Me Town.
Yeah.
I was feeling bad, so you can't be mad at me for the things that I did. Maybe I shouldn't drag an entire other family into my mess.
Yeah.
Now that I've realized, hey, this isn't filling the void. This is actually just making me an angry, bitter piece of crap guy. He told me stepmom was taking me away from him and that I had replaced my mom. He said, word for word, you chose her over your real mother's memory. Wow. I walked out. Good for you, OP. A lot of people at 18 wouldn't have the understanding that that's when you do that.
Yeah.
I don't think I will talk to him again unless he does apologize and changes his ways. I'm still processing all of this, and I'm trying to hold space for the version of my dad who was kind, who tucked me in at night and made me waffles on Saturdays. But I'm also not going to pretend the last few years didn't happen. Grief isn't an excuse for cruelty, and choosing peace and love now isn't a betrayal of the past. And by the way, we have past, present, and future episodes full of stories just like this that you can listen to on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. All you got to do is search OK Storytime, and boom, you've got over 2,000 episodes chock full of juicy goodness just like this.
That's right.
But we do have a little bit of story left.
Yes, we do.
Can I sympathize with this guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it excuse all of the mistakes that he's made to the point where he can just go, well, you need to respect that I was going through it when I was doing this? No. Does that train of thought cause me to question all of his motives? Yes. So, yeah, I'm not ready to have a relationship with this guy until he reaches out to me expressly apologizing for ruining and sabotaging my relationship with my stepmom. Stepmom is not perfect, but she's trying, and for now, this feels like the healthiest place for me to be. We're rebuilding something strange and new, but it feels more real than anything I've had in years. I don't know what the future holds with my dad, but I know this. I'm allowed to be loved, and I'm allowed to choose it wherever I find it. Thanks again, Reddit. And we have some comments to take us on home. Driftwood 256 says, not the a-hole. Grief isn't an excuse for cruelty, and choosing peace and love now isn't a betrayal of the past. You couldn't have put it better. What a crappy father. Glass Confusion 448 says, there is a really great scene in Clueless where Cher explains about her annoying ex-stepbrother still hanging around and spending time with her father, and her father says, you divorce a spouse, you don't divorce kids. Choosing the parent and home that is best for you in the short and long term. Laughing Dragon 77 says, stepmom didn't replace your mom. Sounds like she replaced your dad. One Recipe 7423 says, my useless dad once argued that my ex-stepmother, now second mother, that she was trying to replace him. She replied back in the softest voice, that seat was empty. Good luck, OP. Know that you're not alone. Your bio mom would be proud of you and your stepmom.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that story, and I agree.
My parents are trying their best to sabotage my wedding because I'm queer.
What are your parents, the Beastie Boys?
Trigger warning. Phobia. When I was a little girl, my Oma and my girl cousins and I sat around and talked about our future weddings and what we would want our dresses to look like, and bouquets and future husbands, number of kids. I was not super engaged in the conversation, but I was included. By the way, this comes from Diamine Celadon Cat. If you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. But my Oma knew how to draw me in because we bonded over our mutual love of stuffed animals, something that has followed me into adulthood. She had hand-me-downs for all the other little girls in the family to give them for their wedding days, such as jewelry, hand mirrors, other trinkets, shoes, or handbags. They stopped in her vast closet all day, and I sat in her room and played with the stuffed animals. And she asked me if I wanted a tiny palm-sized stuffed white mouse to put in my bouquet when I got married. It would be about the size of a peony bloom, lightweight, and the right size not to crush the flowers. I was immediately obsessed. She gave the mouse to my mom for safekeeping. My mom held on to the mouse, and I would pull it out and hold it reverently and inspect it and make sure that it was clean and knew that it was being saved for a special day. Then in high school, I came out as... And suddenly, I wasn't my parents' barely tolerated eldest daughter. Because, let's face it, we had problems then too. But their openly disliked son. And as soon as they could wash their hands of me, they did. And I wasn't allowed to take Oma's mouse with me when I left. I didn't think about it because when I moved out, I didn't have blushing bride-to-be in the forefront of my mind. My parents are not even willing to mail me my birth certificate to help me leave the country safely right now. I'm sure the stuffed mouse is out of the question. I'm still not a blushing bride, and I'm not going to marry one. My future husband and I want to have a in memorial bouquet with the mouse in it on a table at our wedding. Next to our take a kippa just for today, we promise they don't bite basket. I wanted to just replace the mouse because I know where she bought it originally, but it's discontinued. They're available online, but I'm having a hard time finding one that isn't used and worn looking. I just have grief. I won't even have a date yet. We haven't even started planning or anything official. This was my literal first wedding planning thought. Anyways, thanks for listening. Cheers. It all has to get better from here. None of my side of the family is even invited, LMAO. And there are some comments.
Dude,
do you have any comments before
normalize not inviting people who are bigoted towards you to your wedding, even if they are your family?
Yeah.
For the love of God, please, can we stop inviting people we know we don't like and they don't like us? Why are we inviting them? I don't care if you gave birth to me. You hate me now.
These are all very valid questions. Even if you gave the mouse back, that doesn't deserve a return of entry. Doesn't deserve it at all. But some comments, such as Mrs. Sir Walter Scott says, I'm so sorry you're going through all of this when you're supposed to be having one of the best seasons in your life. I hope you can take comfort in the fact that your Oma loved you so much. If you want to post a picture of one of the mouse stuffies or the name of it or anything, I can try to help you find one. I'm glad that you're creating a new family. OP responds, it's ridiculous. It's like the IKEA Der Gossing mouse in white, upright. It is so silly because it's not an impossible task. I haven't searched high and low or anything, but I have balked at spending $24 to $50 on a 99-cent plush, and it's not about the cost, and I don't know why I'm stuck on it. I think it's because I want my mouse, not someone else's secondhand used mouse that they still think is worth $50 just because it's discontinued now. Okay, Isopod 9769 says, this is super random and it might not scratch the itch for you, but I'm a sapphic who knits and sews. I can make you a mouse like that. Maybe that'll feel better to you than buying it from a stranger. Community stepping in for family and all that. My DMs are closed because I don't like randoms DMing me, but if you feel like that would be a solution that would fix this for you, just respond to this comment. I'll open my DMs and you can give me some more info about the mouse and we can figure out the details from there. Maybe embroider you or your spouse's initials onto it somewhere, add a little rainbow, a tiny bow tie, whatever. I also see your use of Oma, and if it's any solace, I'm German. So in any way, you'd be getting it from someone from the same cultural background who can kind of understand what your Oma would have been like. This is an incredibly sweet offer, and I saw it right after someone in Europe found one for a very palatable price. If that comes through, I'm going to be so excited. I haven't heard back from them. I think I kind of want to see what you come up with regardless, though. It's such a lovely offer, and we haven't set a date yet, so there's no urgency. And when my community rallies together, my mouse can have a friend, and they can be attracted to the same gender. Mice.
They're mice.
They're mice.
Gauss.
Just symbolic.
A mouse? A gauss? With a spouse? A gauss spouse is also a gauss. Gauss mouse.
If it's all the same to you, that is. Restless Dragon says, not sure if you're interested, but if you want a mom who loves you just the way you are at the wedding, let me know. That's cute. Opie says, thank you so much. What a very kind offer. My fiance and I laugh. I have no loving family, but as the child of an amicable divorce, my partner has 4 loving parents who co-parented really cohesively and continue to do so. That means he entered the relationship with enough family for the both of us, because between the parents and the 7 siblings, it averages out to a normal amount of in-laws for a couple to have. They're just all of his side. However, they feel like my family already, and with the way that they've embraced me. I feel very fortunate in that way. Lipa says, I actually have one of these. DM me. I'm in Finland, but it is so light he could fly. Obi says, I have had my mice accomplished. I have 2 headed towards me. If you would still very much like to send me one, I am accepting them as a symbol of how community has embraced us when my family did not, and I am thinking about writing a small sign of explanation of how we lost the original mouse to time. I just don't even want to think about my nasty family. And wonderful people around the world saved our day to source replacements for us. I am of the opinion that the more the merrier, but I have the mice I need to have my perfect day and to memorialize my Oma. If your mouse will be missed, please keep it in your home. And we do have an edit.
Keep your mice indoors.
We have an edit. Lots
Swedish mouse mafia.
So many supportive mice here.
I just have to point out that Josephine earlier in the chat commented in all caps, it's a rat wedding. Oh my God, it's a rat wedding.
Of mice and men. That's crazy.
Of mice.
Of mice
and
we do have another edit that is the day after the original post. Edits number 3. 3 wonderful people have found solutions to my mouse problem. When initially I came here primarily to grieve in a community who would not focus on the part, but rather the mouse part. I even have been offered a solution that includes something so meaningful and moving that I am not mentioning it in this edit because I want it to be a surprise and I don't want my fiance to accidentally spoil it for himself if he finds this post. I am in absolute tears and I'm not the easy crier in this relationship. Thank you folks so much. Words cannot express. We've got another edit. I have now received offers of 5 mice.
Yes.
Which has reminded me of the strength of the community in times that I have felt quite bleak recently. Because of that, I would like to extend invitations to any gossing mouse who would like to attend my wedding as a visual reminder that family are the people who show up for you no matter what that ends up looking like. We will be including a small sign explaining that our original mouse was lost to time to avoid addressing my lousy family, and that people from our community from around the world wanted to help make sure my Oma was honored and our day was perfect regardless. I am of course happy to pay travel expenses and shipping for any mouse who wants to attend our wedding. Please do not feel obligated as I have substantially more mice than anticipated and more than I needed. My heart is full.
Oh my God.
I am only telling my fiance about 1 mouse and the rest will be a surprise to him on our wedding day.
Aww.
Some of OP's comments. Zealous Ideal Let 439 said, hi, we're in the fountain pen community together, so I just want to say mazel tov on your engagement from another queer Jew who has inky fingers. OP says, thank you so much. This post that I typed up in a moment of just cranky grief on the very first day of wedding planning has brought me such unexpected joy in community in unexpected places. Nani65 says, your Oma's love is always with you, even though you won't have the mouse. OP says, but the beautiful thing is, we will have mice. Not the original one, but very loving, gifted replacements from this community. I cannot put into words how surprised and grateful I am to the wonderful and thoughtful people here who are stepping in to be the helpers that my family just aren't. Author 124 says, it's no less than you deserve. I wish you and your future husband a beautiful wedding day and a wonderful life together. OP says, well, good news. We already have checked one of those boxes. I moved to his state to flee DV and get back on my feet a few years ago and met him some months after. He has patiently and gently transformed how I think about myself and helped me build safety and independence, even outside of him. Now we have a beautiful home. My dogs adore him and he adores them. No small feat. They're high drive, high energy working dogs and can be intense to people used to companion dogs. And I have never felt so comfortable and understood in a friendship, let alone a romantic relationship. We have learned how to integrate and navigate my trauma from growing up with a total loser parents with the help of therapy and patient practice. This is definitely the most beautiful season of my life, and not because it's been easy or free from pain or difficult periods. I'm sure that we will check off the other item too. Okay, and then on March 23, 2025, OP says, I have rather lost count of how many mice are arriving at this very moment. I have been weeping all year because of how much I miss my Oma and how much I wish I could talk to her, and this feels like a hug from her with the help from strangers, even before the wedding. We do have an update to a sentimental detail my parents tried to rob from me.
This is a heartwarmer.
This really is.
Heartwarmer, dewormer. This is the part of the update that's just
review.
Saying all the same stuff. Gotcha.
Yeah. But anywho, I came to share how heartbreaking the estrangement from my family is during the time in my life that should be shared with my loved ones. I came to whine that my admittedly lazy search online to replace my stuffed mouse turned up expensive or subpar substitutes. I expected others to share similar stories of lackluster family and maybe give creative ideas on how to honor my Oma's memory another way. Instead, the wonderful people in this community overwhelmed me with an outpouring of kindness and support. I had people source me exact substitutions for my Oma's mouse and offers to me from around the world over 3 continents. I have even had 2 people offer to hand make some replica mice. I have stuffed mice flooding my mailbox, and I am so overwhelmed with gratitude and have no words for the impact that this has to me right now. I intend to create a display with all the mice and a little map of from where each one came from.
Aww.
That is so cute.
Yeah. Little traveling mice.
Yeah.
You should make a diorama for each mouse.
Oh no.
For each location.
This is how the Black Plague started.
The mice dioramas.
Mice.
No,
from all
mice
the
traveling the
other
world.
countries.
Of course you'll say the Black Plague started with a man. You're crazy.
After our wedding, I plan on putting them in a shadow box and framing them somewhere in our home. There are still more mice on the way to me. One is hanging out with my best man, and another is with a friend of mine closer to where we are about to move. I am just floored. Thank you all truly for all your kind words and your mice. And reminder that family are the people who show up for you, not the people who give you genetic material. And on the thing, there's an image of a cute group of stuffed mice. OP says, this is all reminding me that my family's approval is actually not a goal of mine, and that joy is everywhere if I look for it. Commenter says, this is adorable. I'm sorry about what your parents have put you through. Are you still accepting IKEA mice? Another commenter says, full body goosebumps. While I am deeply sorry for the pain you feel from the heartache your family has caused, I'm delighted that the entire world joined forces to cheer you on. Congratulations. OP says, I have my Oma who was very progressive and always proud of me for me. And even when I left my family, she made sure I knew that. So another commenter says, my first thought was rats, but I spend too much time on the internet. I'm so glad that people came through for you. OP responds, they can be rats for you. IKEA calls them rats very technically. If you want to mince hairs, I thought of them as mice, but they're apparently listed as rats. My partner and I are close enough for me.
Wait, so it's official. We've got men and rats for the wedding.
But we do have another update. OMG, hi to the best of Reddit update people. I never expected one of my posts to blow up like that. Posting this one here because it feels like bloat to the LGBT weddings feed. I'll post the next Pix update here, probably in October. We finally have a date set for our wedding, which if you saw my previous posts, we didn't. We're still accepting mice, and I've opened it to all colors of gaussing mice and any variety of homemade mice. So now I can finally tell y'all, mice who cannot find airfare before October 1st likely won't be able to attend our wedding. This wedding has been so emotionally fraught for me. The enormous joy and redemption I, and by extension my partner, have experienced has brought so much insulation from the anguish in the outside world. Because I get to sit in my very silly stuffed mouse and wedding planning bubble when I think about it. I went from worrying that my side of the wedding would look humiliatingly sparse to wondering if we would have enough mice to put mice in the seats that felt too empty. These mice have felt like a very tangible expression of something that I've had to have my whole life. Creative problem solving in the face of a really lousy family who refused to celebrate me or anything about me, even on the most joyous moments of my life. And the people who have shown up time and time again to help me when I've needed it. My family of origin sure haven't done it, but there have always been people available somewhere. This time, it feels like there's people literally in every corner of the globe looking to help us. It's a little unbelievable. I had to spill the beans about the mice to my partner. Originally, they were keeping it a secret. We're both going through a lot because of stuff related to the wedding and surrounding the wedding. A lot of it having to do with family drama and current politics. Wouldn't you know, planning an interfaith wedding when your entire family voted for not that and has yet to voice any disapproval of any of it is emotionally draining. He was just running out of steam anytime we talked about it. Yes, I'm still getting married. Yes, this year. But so discouraged that he couldn't just have his big happy family around without drama. So one evening, I just brought the box full of mice in from the garage and held it in my lap and explained it to him. He already knew about Oma's mouse and that I replaced one. I explained that I went online to be whiny and that y'all didn't take it as whiny, but embraced me instead. And then I started just throwing mice into his lap one at a time and explaining that I got mouse after mouse after mouse because you folks would just not let it go, that I just needed one. Because y'all wanted our joy to overflow, not just see minimum needs met. I explained that when gifting mice to him, it was my way of reminding him that if Oma was around, she would have loved him, and he's part of my family now too, and I'm welcoming him in, even if there's no one else around to do it. We have a bunch of mouse stand-ins who will be much more civil than my actual family members. Now, we get to design the mouse display together. He has such an eye for aesthetic, I think it's a good move. And you know what I think is always a good move is checking us out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is, and searching OK Storytime because you're going to find more full episodes of stories just like this one.
Oh, yeah.
Get on over there. And there is a little bit more to this story. Shall I just wrap it right up?
Yeah, I mean, I love this. I want a gay rat wedding every day on this story.
Yeah.
On this show.
Great.
I want a story like this every day, please.
Yeah.
Can we have more gay rat weddings?
Katara Rain says the rat dress. Yeah. Can you imagine if you got little rat suits and dresses?
Do you know what these are?
What?
On my blanket.
Oh, pigeons?
Yeah, which are also known as rats with wings.
Oh.
Whoa.
Dude, send some of
It's
those
a full circle moment.
Yeah, it is.
Which one of these pigeons is That's not how that worked, folks. You can't tell by sight. Creative solutions to modern problems.
I love it. There's a little bit more. Let's go ahead and wrap this all up. So we now have a wedding date. This is probably the last big update until October. We are still accepting mice. I'm happy to assist with mouse airfare if they do not travel with excess luggage. I do request that mice that travel to come with a little note that we can display as well. I originally thought about cutting out the postage and making a collage of that, but I didn't want to tediously censor addresses if I posted pictures. I am a college artist by hobby, so it would be nice to include something like that I could have to frame behind them when I display them later on to remember you all by.
Slightly Tove says Mice Window needs to show his face. Mice Window?
One of the comments says, Jesus, I can't imagine telling someone that they don't deserve a $1 stuffed mouse that they didn't even pay for one of the most important days of their life. OP says, this comes from the same parents who told me I didn't deserve a medically necessary shoulder surgery because it was too expensive, but refused to take on any kind of financial assistance because it was beneath them to take handouts. This was before I even came out as they simply were uniquely unsuited to be parents. And that is the end of that lovely mouse story.